We're going to roll right into our next media availability, and we are now joined by Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 14 Peak Lightning Ford.
Lighting, not lightning.
Lighting.
Yes.
Yeah, well, sorry. Reading, it's fundamental. We'll open the floor for questions. Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start here with Jacob.
Jacob Zielman, Speed Sport. Lightning sounds a lot cooler than lighting. I'll give.
It doesn't pay the bills, though.
No, you're right. It doesn't.
Trust me.
On the racetrack, this seems to be a place that, as DW once said, you either love this place or you hate it. Do you love this place, and if so, what makes this place enjoyable for you as a driver?
Anybody that hates this place shouldn't be in racing, because this is the mecca of all racetracks. I mean, this is the granddaddy of them all. There's no question. Look at this place. Look at the grandstands. Look at that picture right there, and then look at one of what it looks like, today's day and age. I mean, there's nothing like this place, and tracks like this we need all across the country. A fan, if they want to be a fan of this sport, they need to learn short track racing, and they need to learn of Bristol Motor Speedway. I mean, there's not a fan, a family member, a friend, anybody that I know that I wouldn't point in the direction of Bristol Motor Speedway. So as a racer on the racetrack, it's no different.
What makes it fun for you driving here?
Man, just the unknown, going for it, being able to go for it, being able to not worry about an aero push or a, horsepower deficit or whatever the case may be. Get a hold of the steering wheel, get a hold of the gas pedal, and make something happen. And this is a track where you can do that.
We'll come up front here to Ben.
Clint, Ben White, Lexington Dispatch right here. Just give me a thought, if you would, please, about what would you consider your greatest win personally, one that really means a lot to you, of the wins that you've had in the Cup Series.
Man, I can't answer that without saying two. I actually answered it. The first one is always the most, memorable because of all the years of working and trying and dreaming and ins and outs and peaks and valleys, and all of a sudden you're standing there in victory lane, beat all of the best and what you grew up, people that you grew up watching as heroes, people that you've been accustomed to racing with your professional career, knowing that people that you raced against that taught you how to race and made you the racer that you were watching. I mean, just all of those aspects all come out when at your first win. I mean, you're sitting there in victory lane with your family and your crew guys and everybody that made that happen for you, and you're just like, holy cow, this just happened. And then from that, I mean, it was a long time, long void last year when we finally broke back into victory lane, and you got a new family and kids and a whole new aspect of your life that had never got to see you win a race or anything like that. So that was pretty special. So it's hard for me to answer that one without saying both of those.
We'll come here to your left to Jenna.
We'll just go to the next one.
Hi, Clint.
Part-time. How you doing?
Part-time. That's what Keselowski calls me. I'll have to tell him you stole that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not really, that's...
Yeah, thanks.
Right.
Thanks, yeah. So there's 3 to go, and you're right there at the bubble. I'm wondering what your mindset's like. Is it go time? And do you think your job at SHR depends on making the playoffs?
You're going to show up part-time, and you're gonna say the obvious. There's 3 to go. That was a hell of a yes. That was obvious.
I mean, I could have come a different approach, but I was trying. Yeah. How you feeling?
Dude, I was feeling good last week. I mean, I've been feeling good. It's just snake bit is how I'm feeling. Every time you get to feel, I told Jimmy this morning, I was like, hey, do not have anything happen to you this weekend, because every time you do, something happens to me. Every time I get that feeling, you're in a good place, just ride right here. Something happens, and flat tire and walk-ins leading up to the last weekend, things were going good. We were going to put probably a 30-point pad on what we needed to. I mean, literally just trying to get to the end of the thing and survive and couldn't. So snake bit, definitely feeling that. Aside from that, for next year, we've worked hard. with what partners that we had and building those, and we have. We brought a lot of new partners on board. We're still talking to more partners. It's hard to sell, you know what I mean? You got to be the complete package, and I feel like we still are. We're still with the right organization, the right manufacturer. All the pieces of the puzzle are there. I'm still having fun. I still enjoy this. I want to race, and I think we're in a good spot. I really do. Yep.
Go to Kelly and then Jarvis.
KellyCrandallRacer.com. So, Clint, along those same lines about the playoffs, and you had said a couple weeks ago you don't feel like your team is a 16th place team. So, when you're that confident in what this team can do, and just you mentioned being snake bit, does that make the hard days much worse this year when you have those bad days?
Well, it sucks to be frustrated, right? We've had really good runs this year. I mean, if you look back at Richmond, God, I wish I'd have just moved any and won the race, and the rest had been history. We wouldn't even been talking about this. But I think I still would have been sitting here, even with a win, frustrated. Even if you had that win and you were in the playoffs and everything else, it doesn't matter. I don't want to just go to the playoffs. I remember the Chiefs. They go to the playoffs the first round and they're out. That sucked. I want to be, in it to the end and win a championship. You go to the playoffs to win a championship. You don't go to the playoffs just to get your picture taken with the playoff group. You know what I mean? It's a business. There's money on the line. There's prestige on the line. There's trophies on the line, and a big damn trophy at the end of it with a huge check. That is what you go to the playoffs for. So getting finishing to our capabilities, yes. When I say we're not a 16th place team, we're not. We've shown our capabilities. We run in the top 5. But the reality is we are right now, and it's because of lack of finishes, DNFs, and things like that, and not finishing to our capabilities. And that's what we got to get ironed out. And we got 3 races to do it.
We'll go to Jarvis, then to Mark.
Hey, Clint. I asked Kurt this before you walked in, but just kind of curious, have you had conversations with fellow drivers about Dale Jr. yesterday, and just what was kind of your reaction when you heard the news?
You really don't. You just sit there with your wife, right? We were driving up the road, and all of a sudden your phone starts blowing up, and it's always scary for me. You're riding. The kids actually, Presley had she started dropping cylinders. We had an explosion on whatever exit it was. So we had to pull over and take care of that. And my phone had rang like literally 6-7 times while this is going on. By the time I got out of the gas station and got our mess cleaned up, I realized, that Dale was in trouble. And man, it takes your breath away. Those are people that are our friends, family of NASCAR. And when you see them in trouble like that, you see that video, that hits home, man. You literally could see, that's how we travel. Gus comes out of that thing, I could see Tripp, in the same way, and my wife, and I just couldn't imagine. You really can't put yourself in that situation, and it was very, very scary for all of us to be able to watch that, and have to watch that. Thank God they got out of it. Thank God they're all safe, but that is definitely a wake-up call to all of us, that we're pretty fortunate to be able to fly around and do the things we do, but it's still a dangerous sport no matter where you look. Things like that are the luxuries of being able to travel like that, are still dangerous things.
Mark?
Mark LPRN. We're heading off to Darlington, and when I look at you, I go like, you'd be right at home with Pearson and Yarborough and all that bunch once upon a time.
Darlington is not good to me. I don't know what we do wrong there, what I do wrong there. I'll just fix it right there. I'll take over from here. Darlington is everything at Darlington. I've always run well there and up front, and everything's going fine. It's one of those tracks where you get down to the end and I can't finish the damn thing. We've got to be able to figure that out because I really do enjoy the challenge of Darlington. That is an extremely difficult track to get around. It's an animal. Trying to stay out of the wall, that's obviously first and foremost, but being able to navigate traffic, because you're always in that. Even if you're the leader, you're in traffic. It's a bear. But a lot of fun. fun. I always look forward to going there. I love the aspect, that old school aspect of those fans being, as big as a racetrack is, the infield seems extremely tight. We take the dog out at night and be able to watch people take in our racing, and that's one of my favorite things to do is cruise around and see how people take our sport and enjoy our sport in different ways. And it's all aspects, right? Some people enjoy family, some people are they're college buddies. They've got a new college crowd down there in 1 and 2 that's super killer for all those guys, throwing a big party for them and having a large time as their school's getting back going. But it's always been a special race and a challenging race and a lot of fun to go down there as well.
What do you think of the cars when you look at some of these older cars? You ever curious, like, man, I wonder what that would be like to race at a Darlington or a dirt track or whatever?
Yeah, I was always thought it would be neat to be able, if you could, to be able to put those tracks back or those cars back on the track and have us be able to race them, or even today's technology, just make the rules mandate those old cars, right? And see, the crazy thing is the evolution of racing and everything that we've learned over the years. These engineers and guys, they could make those cars so much faster than they were back then, but it's not fair. It's not fair to the guys back then. They didn't have the tools and simulation, all the things that they have today. So I can tell you, because of those cars, the racing is where it is. Those guys taught these kids and these guys that are building chassis and making these cars go fast today learn from those guys. And they learn pretty fast. But it would be cool to be able to go back, put those old jalopies back on the track and see what happened.
One last question up here with Lee.
The only thing I never figured out about them is how hot those guys looked and everything else. And every time we take the windows out of our cars, it's like putting air conditioning in them. I can't tell you how much cooler my car was in Watkins Glen than any other racetrack. Just simply taking out the right side window makes a huge difference. So, those cars even had wing windows in them, for crying out loud. I need a wing window.
Hello.
Hi.
Lee Spencer, RacingVoice.com.
I know who you are.
I know, but I'm just playing the game.
I'm teasing.
Good. Almirola looked pretty sporty out there, and I know you noticed that. Did you guys talk at all after practice to get an idea what direction maybe might help you?
Yeah, he did. He had a really good hole and kind of ran a lot of laps by himself and things like that, and had a good, thing going on with his car. We were seemed like everybody was a lot tighter this time around than we were last time around, which we all kind of anticipated. So for us, we were just trying to get as much as we could on the car as possible so we could go back and go through it all. And we were really good in the spring race here, and last several times we've been here, but to get better, you need to get a lot of things on the car and try to dissect it all. So you really can't just settle in and make those long runs and, raise a track bar up or put around a wedge in it. Do the things. I didn't want to do the things that we're going to do in the race, right? You need to get the things learned as much as you can of things that you can't afford to do in the race or can't because of, whatever the case may be.
And do you and Laura have big plans for the off weekend, or did you kind of spend all your good times at Sturgis?
Sturgis was fun. No, we were just going to hang out with the kids and stay around here. Nah. I've been on the road a lot here lately. I was informed I was on the road for 13 days by my son, and I was like, you know what? That's not being a very good dad, but I will be home. We will hang out. So we're going to hang out. Yep.
Okay, Clint. Well, thanks for joining us.
What's that? We got a pumpkin patch, killer pumpkin patch. Yeah. He's super pumped about it. But now we got to build a wagon because you got to have a hay rack ride to go to the pumpkin patch. So everything has problems. Speaking of problems, my God.
He said get the fuck out, so. You can't use those words. There's a microphone, Tot. How are you? Fantastic. You going to go work traffic when we're done here? You're damn right. Thanks.